I am a huge bug fan. I'm probably the biggest bug fan in the world, actually. But this is mostly from a distance, like if you're a bug that has more than 6 legs or you move at the speed of light, where's the door? I'm out of here. A lot of people have the same outlook on bugs, that they're cool and they have an appreciation for them, but interacting with real bugs is sort of an apprehensive situation. This is where today's topic comes in. Hexbugs are a set of toys that mimic the movement and sometimes appearance of a bug through robotic means. To put it as generally as possible, most hexbugs have translucent colored plastic casings over the mechanisms that help them move around. The bugs are powered by the means of more automaton-like mechanisms full of small gears, pulleys, and limited digital technologies to power it, employing the use of infrared in many of their products. The hexbug brand has roots in the Innovation First International Company, which was founded in 1996 and initially aimed to develop small robotic components for STEM purposes, like teaching and robotics competitions. Specifically the FIRST, that's an acronym, robotics competition, a high school level robotics competition that pits teams of high school age robot builders against each other, instructing them to build a robot under 125 pounds that can complete some kind of game concocted by the event's coordinators. The benefit of smaller scale robotics like those that made up Innovation First's early product for the competition was to discover what more could be done while at the same time using the smallest amount of weight, or at least that's what I would assume. I've seen BattleBots. By 2007, presumably to market off of the skilled craftsmanship in a market that wasn't as hyper-specific as the one for the first competition, Hexbug was created as an official brand under Innovation First International, aiming towards making a product for a retail toy market that would utilize the small-scale robotics that the company had been experimenting with and somewhat perfecting for years. A prior brand, Vex Robotics, had aimed to do something like this on a more minuscule level, having reached out to at least providing their products for other robotics programs and competitions like FIRST. I'm not gonna talk about that because it's kind of boring in my opinion, so all you need to know is that the robots being made at this time were starting to resemble the basic hexbug model, with the erector set-like bars and gears of the bugs as we know them seeing their rough outline here. Released in 2007 exclusively through Radio Shack, because it was the 2000s, of course it was, the very first hexbug looked like this. I'll give you a minute. I know I needed one. Purchasable at Radio Shack itself or through the dedicated hexbug sales site VexLab, the first hexbug resembled a gaggle of beetles, coming in 5 different colors: red, blue, green, orange, that looks more like yellow, and black. Wait a minute. The toys appeared as rough beetle shapes, all in slightly different ways, some being more round, others being more square or angular, much like the natural difference there is between beetle species. The mechanical components made up the main body of the bug, with a see-through plastic shell over it, resembling the exoskeleton that a beetle has. The toy would move on all 6 legs with little round feet on the end. Look at those little guys! All beetles should have round feet, that's just science. Last but not least, the final bug-like attribute to them was their antennae. 2 wispy wires coming out of the small head of the beetle. It sure would be silly if they named these little guys after the International Radio Telephony spelling alphabet. This guy's name is Blue Charlie. You might be wondering, hey, it's 2007, what's so groundbreaking about a toy bug that runs around? And to that I would first say, make a Tumblr post about it on your brand new iPhone 1 instead of asking me stupid questions. And then I would answer that actually very good question by saying that the hexbugs were programmed with actual responses to its surroundings, both physical and audible. If met with an obstacle on its way, sensing it with its antennae, the hexbug would turn tail and run the other way, doing the same upon hearing loud sounds, much like how a real bug would. These guys retailed at $10, which would be almost $15 today. The second hexbug did a full 180 and wasn't a bug at all, but a crab. I don't know why either, don't ask. The gimmick of the crab was that it only moved from side to side, crawling on 6 legs like a crab would. It appeared as the original hexbug did, with the metal mechanics of the toy obscured by a translucent plastic cover. You could grab this model in 5 different colors: red, green, black, blue, and light blue. It was released in 2008 alongside the hexbug Inchworm, which I'll talk about in a minute here. It retailed at $12.99, so that would be more like a little over $18 today. The crab also had another feature on top of the reaction to obstacles and sound that the original had, being able to react to light as well. When in darkness, the crab will not move, but once the shadow over it has passed, or it has moved somewhere with a light source, it will continue to move along. Bugs when you lift up a rock. Unfortunately, the crab is the only hexbug to have a sad story, as it debuted in 2008, but was pulled from the market in 2011, a short 3 years after the official release. The crab is the only one of the main hexbug products not to be listed on the official hexbug website product list. I read on the Wikipedia for hexbugs that the crab was most likely discontinued because of a, quote, common defect with its back legs. Since the source for most of the stuff on the hexbugs wiki is Just Trust Me, I couldn't find an exact report on such a defect. So I decided instead to look through a bunch of product reviews given by regular people on Amazon. Most of the reviews on the crab in general are from 2010 and 2011, so I'm not sure why the reviews were so late to the game. Maybe something heavily affecting the economy in 2008 kept people from buying hexbugs, but I can't imagine that happening. I found a few vague references to the legs being spindly, the toy being overall delicate, that kind of thing, with the only specific complaint about the legs being that the pin kept coming out of the leg on this one customer's crab, so the leg would have to be reattached about every 5 minutes. The Inchworm is a fun one to me because I actually have this hexbug. We didn't really know what it was, in all honesty it looked more like a spider to us, but now I can see it having observed the inching motion of the bug. Anyway, this one is another special one for a few reasons. The Inchworm was the first hexbug to come with an infrared controller to be used to move the bug around. The Inchworm consisted of 2 sets of leg-like protrusions, a set in the back and a set in the front, with the mechanical components in the middle set on top of a spinning foot to change your Inchworm's direction. Since the bug came with a controller, it didn't have any of the reaction features that the other 2 bugs had because, well, let's just say that the Inchworm was more of a puppet than the other 2. Like I mentioned before, this bug debuted with the crab, but this one retailed at $14.99, most likely due to the fact that it came with a controller. Adjusted for inflation, this price would be more like $21. The Inchworm's control has 2 buttons, one to move the Inchworm backwards and forwards, and a second one to rotate the bug clockwise and counterclockwise. They came in 5 different colors, those being black, blue, red, purple, and green. In 2009, the hexbug ant was released, and they really put the bug in hexbugs with this one, am I right? We're getting out of the anthill with this one. Named the micro ant retroactively to differentiate it from the fire ant, this bug was unique in a lot of ways. Cosmetically, the bug's look was a lot more streamlined, with the robotics of the ant very well hidden, adding a somewhat frosted-looking white translucent plastic shell to the bug alongside the usual colored plastic. The ant had a decipherable head and thorax, much like the original hexbug had, and also had very detailed, almost artsy curled legs to make it look more like a bug when compared to some of the brand's other products, both before and after this. These ants could be found in 5 different colors, blue, green, red, purple, and orange, and had a few features not yet seen in a hexbug product. It had actual touch sensors in the front and back, meaning that the bug could actually move around an object in its way rather than simply fleeing in the other direction when confronted by something in front of it. Not only this, but the ant is also credited with being the fastest hexbug of the 4 released, with wheels hidden under its plastic shell that allowed it to zip around at 10 times the speed of any of the other previous bugs. Pretty much every website I've seen it on has it listed at $7.99, but because I don't have an archive of a catalog that has the product or any blogs from that time, I can't say for sure how much it cost in 2009. Because I chose a topic to research that has both a horrible wiki and little to no immediately accessible valuable documentation, there is a little kink in the story here that I better sort out now. The wiki lists the hexbug high-tech beetle as the next released in the line here. The high-tech beetle is supposedly a more advanced redesign and re-release of the original hexbug, but to be completely honest with you, I can't find anything about this bug. The link provided in the wiki just takes you to the hexbug product page, and the first images are of what looks to be the original hexbug, but when you parse through them, you can see that the last few images in the set are of a slightly different model. They look more uniform across the board, like if not for color, I definitely wouldn't be able to tell Blue Charlie from Black Delta. Why do they look so scared? On top of this, the product information page gives a very vague description of the beetles in general, so you can't really tell them apart. The wiki even sort of just repeats itself about the bugs, so I can't say for sure what was more high-tech about them, other than the look, and I also have no idea when the re-release occurred, with my best guess being sometime in 2010, as the next bug, the hexbug spider, released in 2011. The hexbug spider is the first one in a line of many spider-themed hexbugs. Like I said, this bug released in 2011, and not very spider-like, is it? The only thing that the hexbug spider shares with the real spider is the name. Real spiders have 8 legs, this one has 6. Real spiders are kind of flat, this one is tall. Each of the spider's 6 legs has 2 pieces with a joint and move in a sort of crawling motion like a spider. The head of the spider has a gentle point to it, and the direction in which the head points is the same direction that the legs will start to take it in. The second hexbug to have a control, the remote has 2 buttons yet again, one to move the spider forward and backward, and the other to turn the head clockwise and counterclockwise. A few websites list the suggested retail price as $25.99, and that would be a little more than $35 now. There are a few variants on the spider, one being what's called a battle spider from 2014, which is basically just the same spider build with a more robotic pattern, and has a few features new to hexbugs in general. It comes equipped with an LED light and a light sensor so that it can play laser tag with other spiders. That is so cool. However, the one drawback to this spider is that it can only move forward. The greatest soldiers always move forward, never backward. But no, they fixed this with the Battle Spider 2.0, a release of the Battle Spider that had no other goal but to move forward and backward. The Battle Spider retailed at $30, which would be $40 today, but take that with a grain of salt. That's kind of assuming that all of the spiders were released in the same year. The last spider-like hexbug to talk about is the tarantulas, and I'm gonna go a little out of order here to talk about these real quick. These came out in 2016. The tarantula, usually referred to as the ground tarantula, this spider-like hexbug actually has 8 legs. It sits much shorter than the original spider and can move in all directions. It can also rotate much like the head of the spider with a mechanism similar to the inchworm. Thick and chunky like a tarantula in real life, these bugs do a pretty good job of resembling their namesakes. I'm not going to show a tarantula on screen, I promise. These also got a battle variant adding the same laser features as the battle spider. The tarantula sells at about $35 and the battle tarantula sells for $40. I can't tell for sure if this was the original price, but the spiders do come in a variety of bright colors. The tarantulas come in black and red, and the battle versions of each have more neutral, tank-like patterned skin. Skin? Is that the right way to describe it? Backing up a little, the Scarab was the hexbug released for the year of 2015. It has a few unique elements to it that are sort of minor when you think about them, but make a lot of sense for hexbugs in general. The Scarab's appearance resembles both the ant and the spider, sort of borrowing the body and plastic pieces from the ant and the spindly legs from the spider. The tops of the legs have a pointed edge to them so that if the Scarab gets flipped over, it can right itself again. A lot like how BattleBots are sometimes built with similar pointed protrusions or even entire mechanized feet hidden on top of them to push them back up. I like BattleBots. The Scarab boasts a high speed and reacts somewhat randomly to anything in its way, making it very unpredictable. You can get the Scarab in blue, green, purple, red, and orange. The Hexbug website lists them at $8.99, but I don't know when this price was listed. Somewhere along the line, hexbugs were licensed to be sold in retailers other than Radio Shack because the store had been declining for years and would inevitably close in 2015. From this point on, stores like Walmart now sell hexbugs, and they were still able to be purchased online on the branded Hexbug website both during and after their time with Radio Shack. In January of 2023, the popular toy company Spin Master bought out the Hexbug brand and are seeming to continue it just as well as it had gone on in the past. I don't think hexbugs have particularly lost any popularity as there is not any recorded decline, though there have been some striations that I will talk about in a second. As of right now, the latest mainline full-size hexbug is the Scorpion. Instead of describing how it looks or works, I'm going to simply show you this GIF. That's about it. You can get these stupid dudes in orange, red, blue, green, and purple for about $12.99. I know that was just for a bit, but for my visually impaired friends, the Scorpion kind of looks somewhat like the Scarab, but it just has a tail, and instead of having, like, concise movement, it kind of just bumbles around. First, let's talk about 2013. 2013 is kind of a weird time for Hexbug. They're trying some new things. Instead of immediately going bigger, the brand experimented with smaller bugs once they were gaining some good traction. These are what is called the hexbug Nano. They are what is called a bristlebot, the simplest form of moving robot achievable. You can make one of these at home, that's how simple they are. Like the name suggests, the Nano is about an inch-long rectangle with bristles at the bottom and a mechanical vibration compartment on top of its body. When the bug is powered on and set on a flat surface, the vibrations cause the bristles to shake around, pulling the bug forward. That looks kinda stupid. These are stupid. But oh boy, did these things pop off! Hexbug made racetracks for these guys, tubes, space stations, and infinity loop? There's a whole section on the website dedicated to just Nano. Easter egg Nano, Valentine's Day Nano, Christmas ornament Nano, party Nano? It's his birthday. It's more than likely that these guys are what you picture when you hear the word Hexbug. These were all over Nickelodeon in the 2010s. I think they cost around $7, but it's much more common and convenient to buy them in a multi-pack for like 10 or 12. The last thing I want to talk about that came out in 2013 is the Aquabots. Hexbugs that can go in the water. They have a magnetic propulsion system to move them along, they can pretty multi-directionally swim through the water, that's about it. They come in many different colors and variants. This is a wahoo. Last but not least, Hexbug has tried lots of different things to keep the brand fresh. They've had partnerships with BattleBots to make BattleBot-like Hexbug contraptions and battling rings. They've made some more realistic looking mechanical bugs, they've made cars. A Kraken? Hexbug Kraken. This guy's a menace. The description literally calls it a squirmy critter. I love it. They have a hexbug wasp that doesn't fly and a hexbug dragon that also doesn't fly. It's kind of a rip. They also make cat toys with this ferret. I can see my cat playing around with a Nano just on its own. Oh look, yeah, Nano with a tail. But that's it. I had a lot of fun talking about hexbugs. I've always been a hexbug fan, even though I only had one. I might get more sometime, I don't know, I would love to. I could talk more about the battle bots, I almost want to make a whole video on that. Hexbugs are infinitely interesting to me, especially given their mundane beginnings. Hopefully Spin Master can do some more interesting things with the brand. They really made a hit with the scorpion in my eyes. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.